Hey everyone, this is John O from Veracity with another video in my series, this one on changing canonicals using xAPI Lab. I will note that this is a continuation of the last video on making better charts and graphs by understanding Canonical, so please check that out. I'll put the link in the description. It'll help you understand this. Going to go through a real quick example, sort of like the last time. Let's say you get a statement, John completed something. Its ID is https://mycourse. When the LRS gets this, it starts to build its own canonical, the one and only definition for this thing. So in this case, now we have just a definition that has just the ID because that's all the information we have. If we get another statement, it has the same information, same ID, canonical definition stays the same. If we get another statement, and this time you can see that we got some additional information. We got the name of the activity, so our canonical definition has changed to have my computer content as the name. You can see now we got another statement. This time there was an IRI, but no name, not anything provided at all. Our name stayed in the canonical definition. In this case, it didn't go away because we didn't provide anything to replace the name. In this case, though, Joan completed and passed in a space for name. Notice that our canonical definition did change because space is data. I know that maybe didn't make sense because you really wanted it to stay the same and it was an error, but it was data, so the LRS takes it and replaces the canonical definition. So later, let's say that we got another statement, reset it back to my computer content, and let's say you want to really get tricky and you know what it's supposed to be, you know what the name is supposed to be, so you intentionally send a statement. Garth completed the thing, and the name in this case is, this is really the name. So now you can see this is really the name. So look, you've got the value that you want in there. Well, remember, you might get another statement, next statement comes in, and Robbie, this time again, just passing in a space. Pass in a space, it overwrote it. So yes, your attempt to set the canonical did not work. So when is it appropriate to try to change these canonicals manually? Well, in general, if you are adding information that's not provided in the statements, so if the content doesn't send a name or a description or context activities, I'll talk a little bit about that when we do the demo, then you can do it. Or if you have all the data, you're not going to get any more data about the activity, and then you're going to change it after the fact to correct it or something like that. In those two cases, pretty much okay. You can do that, and the system will work as expected. I'm going to go into a demo. So I just have a chart here. This is just some of the stuff that I've sent today. I've got a couple activities here, Mathematics 101, Science 101, History 101, and Literature 101. Nice bars, but I've got this one on the end. Apparently there's no canonical definition. It's not being sent with the data. So again, if it's not being sent, it's pretty easy. We could go in here and I think I know what the ID is. Let me grab that. I could go into xAPI Lab. I'll include a statement or a video on this as well. And let's say I want to change this so it has a name. A name was not previously sent. So now if I make this my canonical activity, and we'll put a language of ENUS in here. And I'll tell you what, so this does not get mixed up in the other data we have. We'll make our own verb. We'll make a defined canonical verb. And we'll make sure we're not talking about a real person. Not a real person at veracity.it. So that we know to really ignore this in any analytics. And I'm going to go ahead and send this statement. Okay, if I go back to our analytics and I refresh, you'll see now we have a great bar, my canonical activity with a label on it, and I understand what it is. To go back to the example I showed though, remember if another data point comes in on this and in the object, a space is sent, for example, I send that statement. That will overwrite the canonical definition, and we'll go back to what appears to be no label, even though we know it's just a space. So you got to be careful when you are using this to change your canonical values, but often there are times where some data is missing or the data is already collected. I said I wanted to say one thing about parents. So you can include additional information like context activities, but remember when you're doing queries on the data and you're saying, give me all the data that had this parent context activity. When you change the canonicals, you're not changing the individual statements. You are just changing the LRS's definition of that activity for the purposes of, nice user interface when you're doing graphs. But it does not change the underlying data. Those original statements did not have the parent context activity, for example, and therefore you can't query based on that even if you change it in Canonical. Okay, I think that's going to be it for today. Thanks for watching. Everybody have a good one.